So I like to watch, after the State of the Union, MSNBC has a round panel. They have on this guy, Steve Schmidt, who everybody likes. He ran the McCain campaign. He was against Sarah Palin. He was the one he comes off as a sane person in that book they wrote about it, Game Changer. And so he comes off really sane. And I like him because even though he's white, super rich, and Republican, he still doesn't pronounce his THs correctly. Right?
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Steve Schmidt, he does that a lot. You'll hear it. It's going to come up. So Rachel Maddow was making the point that isn't it sad now that Barack Obama was talking about NASA and science, and that we don't even have a rocket that can take our astronauts into space anymore. We have to borrow the Russians. Well, here she makes that point.
How do we, 60 years ago, he said, when the Russians beat us into space, we didn't deny Sputnik was up there.
Good line.
We didn't argue about the science or shrink our research and development budget. We built a space program almost overnight, and 12 years later, we were walking on the moon.
And how remarkable would it seem today that the United States has no manned lift capability and American astronauts go to the space station on Russian rockets under the...
Yeah, and so that he's good. You're good. This is Steve Schmidt. You can hear the THs he's not pronouncing. And so he's good so far, and now he goes off the rails.
President's watch, but I did find it remarkable.
Hang on. I got to back this up.
Go to the space station on Russian rockets under the president's watch, but I did find it remarkable.
So he just said that happened under the president's watch, when we all know, Robert, that it's been
those funding decisions are made 10 years, 20 years out.
And by the Republican Congress, who has been defunding NASA at every turn, that all the scientists in the world are sad.
So but Barack Obama, if you're the president, you're going to be the leader. You should have executive order some rockets.
You should executive order some
rockets that go to space. What is that? What could that cost? A couple $1 billion?
Yeah. Come on, a couple trillion, whatever.
Yeah. 2 rockets in case something goes wrong with the first one. You got another one. Take the guys up.
Yeah.
And gals too.
And
now.
gals. So he is blaming the president of the United States for the fact that under his watch, even though we all know it's been the Republicans at every turn who's anti-science, anti-NASA, they've been defunding it. They don't want anybody to study anything anymore. They're anti-knowledge. This isn't hyperbole, okay? This is for real. Okay, so here he goes on.
You're blaming Obama for that?
I did. Well, I am blaming.
And so it's laughable that he's blaming Obama for that. So they all laugh in his face, which is the thing I love to see happen, because that's what you want. You want people laughing in people's faces when they say crazy things like that. That's why I love comedy, because you can't deny laughter in your face. Okay, here we go.
Under this president, we have lost that capability to launch American
Shouldn't you be psyched that under this president we have also developed a private space industry? You give him credit for that?
I don't think that is.
So she says, well, can't you at least give him credit that under this president? So if you're going to give him the negative points, if you're going to blame him for us not having rockets that take astronauts into space that happened under his watch, well, you should at least give him credit for the fact that under his watch, that private companies have now entered into the space race business. And that's what Republicans are all about, private enterprise. That's what she says to him.
Should be exactly what Republicans want.
Right.
Everything.
So he should at least be happy. But she says, okay, well, if you're going to shit on him for that, at least you're going to give him credit for that, right? Well, here's what he says to that, because he does not give him credit for that. Okay.
Oh.
That is a function of the administration.
So he doesn't get credit for that. He does get blamed.
He says he doesn't think that's a function of the administration that we have. But the other thing is,
and the private sector, and we can talk about the space program in a minute. But
so he just kept and he straight faces it. And so what he's doing there is why regular people hate politicians and hate talking heads like him. What he's doing is revealing, because his whole thing is, I'm the straight shooter, I stood up against Sarah Palin, I'm going to tell you the truth about the Republican Party, except he's not. What he just revealed to you right there is that he doesn't really have integrity, that he doesn't really tell you the truth. You don't have to make up stuff to criticize Barack Obama about, yet he just did. Okay, and in fact, he did it in a double standardy way, and she called him out for it in real time, which almost never happens. And what did he do? He didn't even crack a smile. He didn't break for a second. He just kept going. So what he's doing is he's lying in a really, really serious way. And that's exactly what people hate about politicians. That's why people are drawn to Donald Trump and away from him. He's the mainstream Republican Party. That's who Steve Schmidt is. And he just revealed to you that, hey, I can lie with the fucking best of them with a straight face, and I can even get indignant about it when I do it. You know the thing that turns everyone's stomach about politics? I'm going to do it right now.
It's what SC Cup did in the beginning.
It's what SC Cup, again, it's the unwind the crazy.
Yeah, although, I had a different reaction to that clip because you're right. Rachel Maddow deserves the credit for challenging him right there. But they're clearly friends, right? Because they're on the show together, and this is what happens. So, to me, they're all having a good time with it. And unless you're paying incredibly close attention, and no one is, then you're just left with the impression of, these guys say this and these guys say this. And I don't know. The bottom line is Obama's president. We don't have a rocket that can go to space. I'm not sure in any way it should be the main point debated after yesterday's State of the Union address, but nonetheless is what they ended up on. But they do that thing that everybody on TV does, and they're she does try to question him, and she's as good as it gets. But it's all fake. All of it feels fake to me. That whole conversation felt.
Oh, you're saying on both sides? Okay.
Well, I mean, because they're all buddies. They all like each other, and once
I'm saying.
Right, once you know, I think we're both right. But I think that she did as well as can be expected. But this manner that we have now of the decision we've made as a country, this is how we exchange ideas. This is the level of our discourse. It blows, and it is inauthentic.
I could not disagree more.
Really?
I could not disagree more.
This is good.
Bring it on.
Because
Disagreement, bring it
I
on.
would rather see two reasonable people having a disagreement and keeping it reasonable instead of the false drama that I see on Fox News, where they bring on a straw man and beat the loving fuck out of that guy.
I mean, obviously, I completely agree with you. I don't
Because they're actually talking about like actual points of logic, and even though he's clearly being a douche about it, there isn't like all this false saying things that he's not saying. There isn't like putting words in his mouth.
No,
Right.
it crushes fuck. I'm saying that this is as good as it gets right here. I agree with you. This is the pinnacle of discourse on television, and it's a C-. It's not an F, but it's still silly, and we got the two other people, I don't know who they are, who just giggle. Everybody just giggles. Like, if I were in charge of any network, I would ban laughter, except like Saturdays from 10 to midnight, we'll have some comedians on, you can laugh. But that's it.
How about
Stop
this?
laughing.
What I'm doing, is this okay?
That's okay, right? But we used to have at least something kind of funny is happening now. But I mean, when I anchored, I've said this a billion times, we would just laugh when we introduced people. Time to check the weather. Here's Robert. Yes, rain today, didn't it, Robert? And then you go, well, I don't know about that. Drizzled a little bit in the morning. Why are we laughing? Why are we laughing?
As if we have some private joke.
It's a private joke,
Yes.
and I think the message sent to people, they're watching, they're like, why are these yahoos laughing? What is happening?
See, the message I always took from that was that these guys have some sort of weird joke between them that's filthy. That, like, when he says, hey, it looks like it's going to rain, and they have, like, some weird golden showers peeing on each other joke going.
Now that's funny.
See, now that was the assumption I had.
Well,
Am
it
I
is
crazy on that?
drizzling.
Well, now you've just made it a lot more pleasant for me to think about in the future.